Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the first Wednesdays in October. I am Gretchen Heido, Master Coach, and I'm so happy to see all of you today. We are going to be talking about unleashing your inner maverick and what that means and what makes it hard for coaches to do that so that you can see what some of your stories might be that are getting in the way from you thriving in your professional life. The other thing that you need to know is that this is going to be uploaded onto my YouTube channel. If you do not want to have your face or voice recorded, turn your camera off and don't talk. And that way there won't be any problem. Otherwise, just know that you have given permission to do that. The way that I want to start tonight, because we're a small group, is with introductions. Most of us hate that. We don't want to have to go around and say anything about ourselves, and that's good. It's just going to prove here what it's like to be an inner maverick. And so when you do it, say the kind of coach that you are, who you serve, and how long you have been coaching. And Mark, you're first in my window, so you get to go first.
Yay.
Yay.
I'm Mark Petroso, obviously, because my name says so. And after doing the corporate thing, I finally got my certification in March of 18 and really started coaching in earnest about 8 to 9 months later. I started with a different business plan of doing coaching groups and some interactive classes, but with COVID, that didn't work out so well. I guess that's it.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Nick, are you up for sharing and introing?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nick D'Agostino. I work with analytically minded professionals. So, a lot of those black and white thinkers who maybe engineers or attorneys or whatever, and they're struggling with their communication, their relationships, their problem solving. So those are the people I work with. I'm building up my practice now. So just started about a few months ago. And I think that's everything, isn't it?
Yeah, you did it. Thank you, Nick. Angie, go for it.
Hello to all of you. I'm Angie Fresk, and I am an executive and career coach. So I serve mid-career professionals typically who are looking to up-level their leadership skills. And I've been coaching for about 8.5 years.
Really good. Thanks, Angie. Patty, how about you?
Hello, everybody. I'm Patty Handy. I am a financial and life coach. I work primarily with divorced, widowed, and single women. I launched the coaching practice in April of this year, but I come from being a financial advisor and then prior to that, a mortgage advisor. So for about 20 years, I've been talking to people and coaching them sort of indirectly in those two roles, but as a formal coach, I've been just, 6 months out of the gate.
Welcome, Patty. And Patty's newer to our group, so it's so nice to see you here.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Marissa, it's so good to see you. We're just doing intros. Go ahead and unmute.
Hi, good to see you too. Hi, everyone. I'm Marissa Fernandez. I am an executive coach, former chief marketing officer. I love working with collaborative, ambitious leaders who are successful by everyone else's definition, but deep inside they know there's a fifth gear that they haven't gotten to or a definition of success that they haven't yet defined and chased. And I love supporting them in defining it and getting after it.
And how long have you been coaching?
I've been coaching for 3 years. I've been coaching for my whole life. I've been getting paid for it for 3 years.
Good catch there, Marissa. So it's nice to have everybody here. And I love it when we have the time to do the intros when it's a manageable group, because here's the thing with it. You all heard something a little bit different in the way that you gave the intro. Now, just put it in the chat. Everyone, bottom line, how did you feel, and tell the truth, when I said that you were going to have to do an intro? Just put a word or two in the chat. More practice, easy, fine, comfy. Not my favorite. Yeah, if it were me, I would have written hated it. Like, I hate doing this sort of thing. I was just in a training and I've been coaching a long time and I had to do the whole thing, new group, and I hate it still. And that's the part. So tonight, what we're going to talk about are our stories. It's going to be a triangle. We're going to talk about what keeps us in the triangle. This is a triangle, and we're at the center of this triangle. And we've got rules here. We've got labels here, and then on the bottom, we've got our stories and our narratives. And all of those things keep us in a triangle, and we need to take the triangle and open it up so that we can get creative thoughts rather than reactive thoughts in the triangle. The triangle right now is the only thing we know. It's the only thing that we can see, and it keeps us locked in because this is where it keeps us safe. And so it's scared to do this, but if we can even tonight get yours to open just a little bit, you may get a creative thought or two in session or afterwards. And so let's see what kind of gems you are going to get tonight. Now, the title of this is really, it's all about unleashing your inner maverick so that you can move forward in your professional life. I also do this where it's more geared just towards women and, it's all about breaking free to bold. But the truth is this, with the, hundreds, probably thousands of clients that I've worked with at this point, the things that we all have in common or are ideas about not being good enough, feeling like a fraud, having some sort of story of lack about who we are in the world, and also prioritizing the needs of others over ourselves. And when we think about that, and tonight we'll use the professional mindset here. We're going to be stepping in and really doing this on your career. We're going to see where these stories are getting in your way, keeping you safe, keeping you small, and keeping you in the triangle instead of letting the top open for that creative thinking to come through. Now, when you hear the word maverick, just unmute. What do you think that word means? Like, what does it mean to you?
Badass.
Badass. Good. Love it. What else?
Disruptor.
Disruptor. Yeah. What else?
Bold.
Going your own
Bold.
going your own direction.
Going your own direction. Yeah. That's what it is. Badass, someone going their own direction, disruptor, bold. It's all of those things. A maverick is someone who is not living in the expected way. And so just let that sink in for a moment, not living in the expected way. And so when we think about it for yourselves, what would you be doing if you weren't running your coaching business in the expected way? Take a moment, write a couple of things down. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't be coaching. It could, but for this frame tonight, you're still going to be coaches. We're coaching. But if you weren't running your business in this expected way, what might you be doing? How might you be running your business? I'm going to give you like 60 seconds, write some things down, and then you're going to share if you feel like it.
Mm.
Oh, I love that, Mark. Okay, wrap up what you have there. And before we share, one of the things that I want to emphasize is that most of the time we live in the expected way because we think it creates safety, right? So all of the three pieces of our triangle are to keep us safe and protected, to keep us in the center of the points. And when you think of it that way, the triangle has been working for you and it guides you kind of where you're going to go. All these things are the guide. Here goes the triangle spaceship. But when we can open it, you will get more creative in every area of your life. But as we open it, we're often fearful because what if one of my thoughts changes and something that I'm not comfortable with comes in? What if I don't know how to do it yet? What if, what if, what if? And we create these scenarios that reinforce the reason why we need the triangle, kind of like re-traumatizing yourself, the old stories, the old reasons. It's like, nope, I don't want to let go of this. And so we're going to take a look at your rules in business, the labels that you give yourself, and the narratives that you have that really keep you from doing this unexpected way of living in your business. So who is brave enough or willing to share? Tell me one or two of the ways that you might be acting in your business if you weren't doing the expected. Go ahead, Angie.
I mean, maybe because the email I got about this was kind of around client creation, that's what came up for me. And I thought, oh, there's, what's expected is find one client, work with them, find another, like something about breaking away from the generating one client at a time model. But I don't know what that is necessarily. I mean, I have some thoughts that you and I have talked about before, but
yeah, go ahead and share some of them with the group. Like if you weren't doing it in the expected way, what would you be doing? What might you try?
Well, working on getting like whole teams of people from organizations signed up versus one person.
Yeah. Versus the one-to-one model. Sure. Thank you for sharing that. Who else would share? What's something if you weren't doing expected that you would be doing? Yeah, Mark.
Okay, so I already sort of kind of started it, but I ran into this organization who runs health and wellness fairs for different companies here in well, not just Silicon Valley, but so I went to a fair and I've signed up for two more, one with the Bill.com company, and one with the city of San Jose. I'm also going to dive deeper.
Pause for a minute, Mark. If you weren't doing those things, what would your unexpected look like? That's your expected. That's what you're already doing. But if you were going to do something unexpected, what would you do? What might you try?
Someone to help me with the lead generation.
Okay.
I'm struggling with that. So the one-to-one or groups or something like that.
Okay. So there it is, though. It's like you were going to give us the list of all the expected things, everything you're doing, and congratulations on all of those things you're doing. But it's like, wow, if I were going to park the things that I always do and do something completely different, what might it be? And so this gets us out of our comfort zone too, but it's not the thing we usually do. We think about it, we talk about it, we have ideas about it, but we don't always take action around it. And we're going to get into that in a minute. Does anyone else, Mark, were you going to say something else?
No, and with the health and wellness fair, I only did one about 3 weeks ago, and it was completely unexpected for me. So I need to fine tune what I'm doing with that. That's all.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
I can jump in. And this is, what I'm already working with you on. But I think if I hadn't done that, I would have just gone and thought, oh, I have to get my, I did do my training, but I would have to get, all these other certifications and extra trainings, and I'd have to start small, and I'd have to really slowly build my way up. But I don't really have to do that. I could go for bigger clients. I could demand, better pay. I could jump in and, do that extra education over time. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
What came to mind for me is I've been previously quite creative in my renewal proposals,
Yes, you have.
kind of going off the beaten path of a standard X sessions per month for X many months. I can do that in an initial pitch as well, including something like a VIP day or a more immersive experience linked to their goals. And maybe they won't be ready for that, in which case I have something to fall back on, but I think it would be unexpected and valuable. Why not start there?
Why not? And that's called being outrageous, right? That we're going to be outrageous. We're going to be super creative. We're going to get outrageous and we're going to go for it. Patty, would you like to share?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I need to get out and do more speaking. I don't do that now, and I need to get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Do more speaking.
Okay, this is good. And so for everyone, we all have these expected ways that we're doing our businesses. You've all been in business. You have been doing it. There's certain things that you do every day or every week, things that you know kind of by heart that you do over and over and repeat. But then there's things that we dream about that aren't quite as expected. Now, you've all shared what that is for you. What I want you to think about now is, what is the immediate thought that comes up, or the story, the reason that you haven't done that yet? So for me, I have one about really needing to get out there bigger with my book. The immediate thought that comes up is, well, it's not making me that much money, so it's not worth it. That's the immediate thought. That's the reason. That's not the reason, but that's the reason the mind serves me as to why I'm not doing that. So for you, take a look at your unexpected and just take a moment to jot down, what's your reason? What does the head say as to why you're not doing it? And I'll give you my part two of it. So it's that it's not really making me money, but underneath it, if I peel that back, it's, well, what if I spend all that time and then nobody buys it? Then I'm rejected. Then it means it's not a good book. Then it means I wasted all of this time. Then it means the legacy that I really wanted to be known for meant nothing. Now, it doesn't really mean any of that either, but that's where the mind goes. When you peel it back and you peel it back and you peel it back, if I were going to live unexpected, I would put so much more time into it instead of just doing my business the way I always do it. But my other reason is, but my business works. I'm really successful. I make great money. I have clients over and over and over again. It's not hard. And this feels hard. This feels hard. And my mind resists it feeling hard, because what does it mean about me at the end of it if it's not a win? So for you, go ahead and write yours down. Try to go as deep as you can. Don't worry if it goes that deep, but if you can get there, fantastic. And what happens here is we get to start seeing part of the triangle, part of the pieces that keep us in place. So for me, it's the thing about time. And one of my rules, if I think about my inherited rules, is that spend time wisely. You want to spend it wisely. Well, if I'm going to spend it down here with this idea that, but I'm not going to be any good at it anyway, no one's going to buy it, they don't care, that's not wise. So why would I do that? So that's part of the triangle, part of what keeps me boxed in and from doing the creative thing of really getting out there. Well, I already tried it. When I did the launch, I did some of it. You wasted so much time doing it, says the mind. Wasted time. So wasted time is part of my narrative. And I don't want to do things that are wasting time, because if I follow that story, people who waste time are not successful. And so these are some of the things that make the triangle. So is anyone willing to share what came up for you, the story that you've created around why you have not yet tried this thing that would be living in an unexpected way, doing your business in an unexpected way? Yeah, Patty.
Yeah. So what came up for me is fear of judgment. When I'm speaking with people making thoughts, people not being interested in my topics, Fear of messing up. Growing up, I actually had a stuttering problem. And sometimes I catch myself where words get stuck in my mouth and I work through it. But I'm always afraid that I'm on stage and like, I'll be stuck. So there's that childhood, story playing in my head.
Yeah. And I heard two things there. Tell me if I have them right or if they're close. Fear of not mattering, that what you're going to do isn't going to matter. These things that you're going to give aren't going to matter. And then fear of looking, because of the stuttering, what word would you give it? You said stumbling, but what's another word for that? Fear of looking what?
Like getting stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would it mean if you were?
It would go back to that judgment. Somebody judging me.
Yeah. Yes. And so that is part of, it's the bottom piece of this triangle. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Who else is brave enough to share? Yeah, Angie.
So I wrote down, I don't have enough direct relationships with the right level of leaders yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes from, the next thing is it feels like a long road to get there.
Yeah.
And then it sort of takes me back to the safe and sure thing with the associate partnership I've been work that I've been doing. And it's like so easy, but it's like this, catch-22 of, I find my mind going, well, those leaders that I have such a nice relationship with because I worked with them for 6 months, but I have a non-compete with, boy, if I had just had them directly, then I'd be okay. Kind of a circular reasoning almost.
So what are you seeing as the central theme in that story?
Maybe a little bit related to what you said. It's like time and investment and how do I, like a friction against feeling like, what if I do invest and it still doesn't get me there?
And what would it mean about you if that happened?
Well, it would mean that I guess ultimately wasn't capable and good enough on my own to make that happen.
There you go. So write that one down, not good enough or capable enough to make it happen. That's big. That's what it's really about, of the reason you don't do the next thing. So we're looking for that, the real reason. Does anyone else want to share before we go to the next part? Yeah, Mark.
No, I'll go back to the lead generation thing. I get contacted almost every day by someone who's promising me something, and my resistance is that it somehow will cost me money and it's scammy and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I need to turn that on its head, and maybe I should be reaching out to this people more proactively. And there's got to be somebody out there who is worth the money. And because if they're doing it professionally, that's the block. I need to do the research on them rather than them doing the research on me.
And so at the bottom of that, is there something there about not wanting to be tricked or fooled?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm really hearing, is that so for you, you're not taking action because you don't want to be tricked or fooled and make a investment that isn't a worthy investment.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Anyone else want to go? Okay. So as you're looking at your stories, what you're going to realize is that that central theme for you plays out in many areas of your life. Tonight, we're just looking at business, but notice where the story shows up. So for me, wasting time shows up everywhere. And I can hear my parents' voice in my head too about don't waste time. Don't waste time. Successful people don't waste time. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. I have a couch. I have to train myself to sit on the couch because it feels like wasting time. Like, who really sits on the couch? Teenagers sit on the couch. Lots of teenagers at my house on the couch. Marissa sits on the couch because she does not have this issue. But for me, it's become a practice. I sit on the couch every day and I enjoy it, but there's something really strong in me about wasting time. Don't waste time. And that takes us to labels. So labels is another part of your triangle. take a moment and write down all of the labels that you have for yourself. And it's labels that either you've given to yourself or someone else has given to you. So like for me, it can be master coach, go-getter, efficient, on top of things, gets it done, intelligent. So think of all of the labels, adjectives that people have used to describe you or that you use to describe yourself. I'm going to give you a minute. Just write as many of them down as you can think of. All right. So who's willing to share some labels? You can share 1, 2, or 3 of them, just a couple labels.
I'll go.
Okay.
Logical, precise, you fix stuff, thoughtful, organized.
So logical and precise people could never risk looking foolish by making bad investments, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so are we seeing like story labels? And the reason labels are longer, there's so many labels. Just so, like if we could be here for an hour doing each person's labels, so many. And each one comes with a supported story or narrative. And so stories here, narrative is here to keep it in place. Like in order for you to have that label of logical, you cannot make bad investments with marketing teams who may in the end be tricksters. Like you cannot do that. Your regulating system will not let you.
Yep.
Yeah. Who else wants to share a label? Yeah, Patty.
I'll share. Resilient, hard worker, compassionate, determined, caring. Those are a few.
Yeah, resilient, hard worker, compassionate. One more, and caring. Okay. It's interesting because for your story about needing to public speak more and getting stuck sometimes with stuttering, I'm actually seeing where the labels could help you. That a person that is a hard worker, compassionate and caring could of course get on a stage and maybe have a stuttering moment because who you are is compassionate and caring. So why would it matter? So there's something else. There's another label that's getting in your way. Are you able to, do you have it there? Is are you feeling it or sensing it?
I probably will at 2 in.
Okay. And then
Direction?
you're going to email me. Yes, Marissa, go ahead.
Patty, are you open to a reflection that I was hearing in what you shared? And then I can share my own. Because I have this too. Maybe it's you're feeling that in being caring and compassionate, it's like you're the one that gives the care and compassion, not the one that is expected to receive it. And so if you're on the stage and you get stuck or you're not doing your best, you have to be the one to receive instead of be the one that is the giver of care, the giver of compassion. That might feel uncomfortable.
That's a good insight. That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you, Marissa.
Good deal.
I have that for me where like I like to be dependable and a go-to person, which are some of my labels, which makes me really less comfortable asking for help when I need it. Even though it's not like a zero-sum game and only one person can give, like my mind that tells me sometimes that it is. Some of the words that I noted down: insightful, intelligent, ambitious, successful. And the story that I've been playing with, the reason why I didn't share like a deeper level of block around being creative in my pitches is I feel like I just hadn't thought of it until now, but I feel comfortable like starting to do it tomorrow. So I don't know that there's a deeper one there, but where there is a deeper one is I can be a maverick in my business by being totally comfortable and actually happy with a business that varies month to month in what I'm making, and like having lower months because I'm off and enjoying myself and believing that I could create money and clients when I come back. That feels unexpected. And what was the word you used? Yeah, unexpected.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Really interesting to see these. Does anyone else want to share before we go to the next part? Yeah, Angie.
Some of my words were put together, professional coach, warm, friendly, collaborative.
Okay. So when you think of it, maybe it's put together and professional coach, possibly, because if you're a put together professional coach, then that would mean you cannot do the thing that you want to do, because what if you end up looking bad? And a put together professional coach doesn't do that. Possibly.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, could be. And so as you play with these, and tonight we're just like, picking at it just a little bit, more things are going to reveal themselves to you. They just will. And you're going to see, and it might even be easier to see it in your personal life first, that you're doing this thing, you have this idea of you, and because of that, you have to keep a narrative going to keep that idea of you, to keep the label alive. And let's pause and talk about that for a minute. I say the idea of you because who we are, it's just a lot of ideas of who we are and what we believe and what we think they're ideas of ourselves. And you can change your ideas. The reason it becomes hard to let the creative idea change come in is because this is locked up so tight from those stories and narratives and labels and rules. And when what's at stake is the identity, and your identity is in the middle, and we've built a whole life on this identity, and it's worked pretty well. I mean, that's the truth. None of us are sitting here in terrible shape. Everyone is doing mostly okay, but we all have something that it's like on rinse and repeat. It doesn't matter how many times we've coached around it, how much therapy we've done around it, how much whatever, fasting, running, whatever we've done around it. It's still there. It might be less, but it's like this niggling little thing that's in the back that's just like tickling the brain. And part of that, it's just the hardwiring from what we picked up. And it's a way that we have received our like, value, love, and security. And when we're talking about things like value, love, and security, it can cause us to become afraid that one of those things might disappear if we make a change. So if my clients no longer thought of me as capable, well, would they hire me? I don't know. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm always going to be capable. Notice that I'm not even like willing to change that. That's like a no. And some of our labels we're not willing to change. We like them, we like them, but I have other labels too. Like people can say things like aggressive. I've been described as that way before. That's all right, but I'm not going to pretend it doesn't hurt my feelings. But there's been ways that aggressive has helped me. But I can also change that label. Like, is it really aggressive or is it competent? Is it just a leader? What is it really? Is it the tone and the way that I'm doing it that feels aggressive? So when you do this on your own later, really write down all of your labels, the ones that feel comfortable to you and that you're like kind of proud of. And then the ones that it's like, oh, I don't really like that one so much. Because we all have those too, but it's a piece of the triangle and it keeps us where we need to be. I was aggressive in my 20s, very aggressive. And you know what? It served me well. I can build businesses. I can do all sorts of things. But I really, at that point in my life, kind of ran people over in doing it with little regard. But that's just the way that it was then until I did this kind of work. And so we do all have something, but hey, aggressive got me to competent, which got me to being successful, which got me to money, which got me to prestige, all these other things. And so it didn't seem like something that I wanted to give up because I hadn't yet opened the identity into a more creative way. And now I never think of myself as aggressive. It's just like, no, this is just stuff that I know that I can get done. And so for you, there will be something like that too. And what we're doing is when we take this back to the way that you would run your business differently, that creative idea that you have that you haven't taken any action on yet, it has to do with your label. And it has to do with your stories, and it has to do with your narratives. There's too much at stake. But if you can remember, oh, this is just an idea of me in the center. That's all. It's just some stuff that's inherited. It's an idea of me. I can open it up a little and just see what happens here. You will be amazed at what else comes through. Anyone have any comments there before we go to the next part? Something that's sparking for you or that you'd like to share? That was really just my cue to have water. Okay. So the next part is rules. Now, when I think of this, rules are the way that you live. So you might have rules on all sorts of things. They can be religious rules, they can be political rules, they can be family system rules, they can be education rules. There's rules for everything, just really rules for everything. Rules about how you're supposed to run your business, rules. One of the rules that was given to me that I inherited as a kid, and most of our rules are inherited, was that it's not okay to ask questions. There's good questions, bad questions, and stupid questions. Well, I'm intelligent. Intelligent was the highest currency in our family, and not being sensitive. Those were like the most important. So I was not a sensitive person, even though that's a complete lie. And I never asked questions. We are a huge family. My aunt, because she still will not ask questions, will not turn on her GPS to tell her where to go. She would rather get lost, and she does often, than put on Siri, because she's like, no, I'm not going to ask. Good questions, bad questions, stupid questions. Don't ask questions. So for me, that was going to be an impossibility to be a coach. Coaching is all about questions. If you do not ask questions, you are not really a coach. You're a talker, you're a fixer, you're an advisor, you're a consultant. Nothing wrong with that, but you're not a coach. So think about, and if you just write down some of the rules that you know are going on in the background of your life, as many as you can think of, and then we're going to see how do those ones play out when it comes to this idea that you have that you could be doing if you weren't living in an expected way. My guess is it's going against one of your rules so that it can support your label and it can support the narrative. So take a minute, write down some rules. Okay, everybody have one or two rules? All right. Who's willing to share a rule that you have? And it doesn't matter if it's making sense yet with the thing that, you know, you're not doing. Just anyone able to notice a rule or two? Mark.
Okay, so I definitely have to plan ahead. I definitely have to look at everything that can go wrong. So I have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C in case something does.
Hmm.
I have to be responsible, and I am not spontaneous.
Yeah, because one of your labels is logical. So
Right.
all of those rules make perfect sense for a logical label, right? Perfect sense. Thank you for sharing. Who else? What are some of your rules?
I have some around money. Successful business owners make predictable high income. And you're a success if your money chart looks like generally this
Mhm.
to infinity,
Yes.
never in the other direction, God forbid, gasp.
Never in the other direction. So how do those rules either support a label that you have or a narrative that you have?
They, well, in good months, which I have mostly, they support my definition of being successful and being ambitious. And when I have a softer month, even if I knew it was going to happen because I took time off, I don't feel that same level that my identity got called into question. Like, am I really successful if I'm not putting up big numbers and big indexes versus a year ago?
Yeah. Okay.
So
Thank
they're
you.
linked. You're welcome.
Very much so linked. Who else? Angie.
I actually struggled to think of rules, but the one that came up for me was be nice and polite to other people.
Mm-hmm. Where does that fit into the rest of your triangle?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. I think there could be something in feeling like not wanting to inconvenience people or push to get new meetings. Maybe there's something there. Yeah.
Probably there's something there. Yes. With the way that you said that, especially with the word push, that's really interesting. So there's something there about pushing means whatever, even asking might feel like pushing. You've got something there.
Mhm.
So that's what we're looking for, are these clues to our triangle, and if you think about it, the system, which is your triangle, the labels, the rules, the narratives, and the stories are perfect for the results you have in your life. They're perfect for the results you have in your business. And really, there were no other results that you could have gained so far with your mind-body experience and who you are, because you've been locked in the triangle. And so that's why we start with, if you were going to do something unexpected and do a business in the non-expected conformed way that you have been doing it, what would you be doing? But the problem is that we're still coming from the labels and the rules and the mindsets. And so what I want you to do next is to think about what it is that you told everyone that you wanted in your business, the idea that you had of what you could do. And then I want you to think about, well, if you could do that, what else could you do? And what else could you do? And I'll demo this with someone just so you can see it, so that you can do this on your own as well, because it's going to help you with breaking out. And we're just looking for a little bit, just a little bit, so that you can get out of your reactive and over practiced behavior. That's all it is, just over practiced behavior. We know it so well, we don't have to think about it. It's super easy. To just a little creativity, 3 to 5% of above the line thinking differently behavior. So who would like to demo this with me? Who will demo this with me?
All right, I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to get coached by you. I've had a lot of it.
I mean,
Other people are not going to raise their hand.
and that master coach silence can just go on and on. So whatever. Okay, so Marissa, I know you said you didn't necessarily have anything specific, but when we're thinking about a different action that you could take, an unexpected action that you could take, do you have something that's floating around in your head?
I don't know if this is a good enough example, because for me, I'm thinking more of like inaction instead of feeling like I always need to be in action. This is driven by, Gretchen knows this, but I took a bunch of time off in August, more than I've ever taken off in my business. And I came back and felt some discomfort with how my numbers were looking because I had slowed. And I immediately like jumped into action and got into client creation mode and wasn't feeling so good about myself. And then did a lot of business since then. So now I am feeling good about myself. But I'm like, why? I don't like being attached to the numbers. I want to be able to feel good and not feel like I need to be in action all of the time. So the action is like an acceptance of being at rest and having slower moments. Will that work for this exercise?
That will completely work. And, good job with that as well, because inaction actually creates creativity. It gives you room and space to be able to get creative. When we're constantly doing the doing, there's no room for anything new to come through because we're just hitting the, triangle over and over and over like a pinball machine. So if you could believe that you could be in inaction and still be monetarily successful, what else could you believe?
And let me add, and feel good about myself too. So that's like an important requirement.
Okay, so be
What else?
monetarily successful and feel good about yourself. What else could you?
I could take more vacations.
You could take more vacations, and if you could take more vacations, what else could you believe?
I could believe that my success is decoupled from my bank account and my client captain's log.
Yeah. And if you could believe that, what might you do?
Actions versus like a belief. Yeah.
Yep. What might you do?
My first thought goes to like do more experiments, like try new or different things instead of what I know works and I'm in a rhythm of. I know you're going to ask me like, what are the experiments? So I'm trying to think about next.
What are the experiments? But it's just enough that it's experiments. And it's like, if you were willing to try experiments, what else might you be willing to try?
Maybe experiments outside of the business, like living somewhere else for a chunk of time, having someone cook for me. I don't know, that would be like something to try that would entice me.
And do one more. If you could do that, what else could you try?
I could help to maybe empower or excite or inspire other either coaches or solopreneurs who are in the same mindset of feeling the need to be on the income ladder, build, to show them that there's another way of being, which I think would fill my own cup up as well as be helpful to other people.
Yeah. If we go back to that original belief of you always need to be in do mode, and what you wanted was to be able to be in some inaction, tell me what has shifted for you.
What has shifted is the step of taking time off was a step, but what I didn't realize was the I was associating like negativity with being off instead of seeing all of the positive possibility of time and space that we'll create. There's also a sense for me of like, this helped me really zoom out. Like I'm talking about a very small window in which business slowed for a couple of weeks and has already ramped back up. And it's like, I'm in this for the long game. So it also has helped give me a helpful perspective that I didn't get myself stuck for 10 years. It was like a few weeks of slow that felt really rejuvenating to my body and spirit, and was, as I shift what being successful means, that time is just as valuable as time spent in my traditional actions like client creation and serving my clients and renewing and all that stuff. So it's helpful.
It's really good. And it opened up the triangle.
Yeah.
Just a little, what do you want to commit to? If we were coaching next week, what do you want to commit to around this new idea that has come through?
Two things come to mind. I don't yet have my vacations blocked for 2024, and I should just do that now. Last year I did it in December, but might as well do it now. And then what I think would help me is if I really get to a deeper level of what it means to be successful. Like my highest self knows that it's not how much money I make, but that's like my easy brain wants to go there story. So like maybe spending some time journaling on what it means to be successful in the way that like I'm still going to feel successful and thriving even when I take weeks off and the client creation machine slows down for a little bit. So those are my two takeaways: journaling on my higher order meaning of success and putting my vacations on the calendar more tactically.
Okay, great. Thank
Thanks.
you. How
Thank
was
you.
that exercise for you?
For me, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was helpful. I've been a little bit wrestling with this one. Like, okay, I got myself out of it because I made money, but I don't want that to be the only way I get myself out of it. Yeah,
You did
so it was helpful.
work right there. So thank you. So here's the thing, coaches. If you go back to what you wrote down before about what you would do if you could do something unexpected, what I just did with Marissa is an exercise where you use the language of what might you do or what could you do. It doesn't mean you will do it. Like she might hire a cook. I don't know. That's great. She might not. But what it does is it starts opening up the triangle, because we're not considering the labels and we're not considering the rules and we're not considering the old narratives. We don't have to. It doesn't get in the way of the subconscious because it's a could or a might. It's not what will you do. That comes at the very end. So it's just a could or a might. And I asked it 3 times because the first time people don't even know what you're doing and they're confused. The second time they can build on it. And the third time it gets to their heart. It's kind of like head, mouth, heart answer. And that's what we're going for, is like, what's the real thing? And then from there, it's like, okay, well, if you could believe that, what might you try? What could you try? So it's what could you believe? What might you believe? What could you try? What might you try? 3 times. And at the end of her 3rd time, she really had something there, and that's what we're going for. Then you ask yourself, all right, what do I want to commit to? And that's where the real action comes into play. She could have said getting the cook, but instead it had to do with vacation and some journaling. Either way, she will get movement. That system that she's had this open just this much, but that's all she needs as she starts doing these other things and offering in and giving room for new thoughts and actions. And so when you think of your original idea here that you haven't taken action on because of your rules, because of your labels, because of your beliefs and narratives on your own, because we're at the end, I want all of you to do what could I believe instead? What might I believe instead? And if I did believe that, what action might I take? What action could I take? And then at the end of that, commit to something. Okay. And it's not like I commit in 3 months. It's like, what can you do in the next 48 hours? because commitment should be pretty close to, the time that you're in, or else they don't get done, because we want to create that pattern interrupt. And this is the way that you start becoming the maverick of your life and of your business and living unexpectedly. It can apply to any area of your business: client creation, marketing, outreach, making more money, speaking, whatever it might be for you. It can apply to all of that. And what we're doing is we're shaking up the regular answers with could and might. And it's so interesting that just small changes in wording and some probing really will help you to open up the triangle. Your identity won't need to be so protected, because it won't be afraid as it's doing it of like, oh, wait a minute, but then it'll mean I'm not professional. Oh, wait, close it. You will be okay. So I want to be respectful of time, but I'd love to go around and just hear your takeaways. What'd you get from tonight? What'd you learn? And then we'll close it. Mark, I'll start with you because you're right at the top.
Well, of course. For me, it's a different way of looking at things, and a step-by-step process to open up that triangle.
Good deal. Thank you. Angie?
I'm taking away a really lovely framework to open up possibility.
Good. Nick, are you with us to be able to share?
Sure. I just love the idea of bypassing those subconscious biases and limits with a tweak of words. I love that.
Yeah. And for all of you, because you're coaches, try this with your clients. You're going to see it work. What about you, Patty?
Yeah, it was pretty much what Nick said. Just poking holes in the rules that, the false rules that I have in my head. And they're, false realities.
Great. Marissa, anything you want to add? Yeah.
I think everyone knows.
Gave your takeaway. So here's what I encourage you all to do. Take some time to really write down as many rules as you can think of. You're going to come up with all sorts of things. I mean, I have a client who had a rule that never upset your mother, because there'll be hell to pay. And so she went along in her life not upsetting anybody ever, because there might be hell to pay. And it really stunted her in her business. And it stunted her in having just normal conflict as well with people, because she didn't want there to be hell to pay. So any of the rules, anything, and I want you to think of the rules, the labels, and the narratives and beliefs as ideas that have just been passed down and passed down. So if you think of, all of us probably are not really from here, came over on a boat at some time during our life, some relative did. And they're just bringing everything with them. And they're bringing their old weird family recipes and whatever else too. And they're just giving them to us. And somewhere along the way, we cook it wrong. And then we pass it to the next person and they cook it wrong. So some of these ideas that we have about ourselves, they're just wrong. They were the wrong thing getting passed down. We don't have to keep them, and we can still be safe. So I will be so interested to know what you come up with. I hope that you will email me or put it in Coaches and for Coaches and tag me. I would love to hear what shifts for you, and expect it to be something soon. If you really do take action and you take some time to think about these things, you'll notice it pretty immediately. And you're going to start seeing how your identity constantly wants to support your labels, and it's hard to let it go. That it's like, oh, well, if I don't do that, does that mean that I'm lazy instead of competent? So you're going to notice the fight inside. And these are all the ways that we get, that we create stop points with our business. So just notice, let's see what those stop points are. I hope tonight was helpful for you and enjoyable. Okay, everybody, have a good October. Take care.
Thank you so much, Gretchen.
You are welcome. Good to see everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.